Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. And this video is sponsored by contribution from Carl. Carl gave a general contribution, which I will use for this video. But before we get into the content of the video, I ask everybody to go to the description box and please click on the Rumble link version of this video. I will ask everybody to watch the video on Rumble as I'm still monetized over there, and it'll help with the channel's success greatly. On to the subject matter at hand. I talked about the slippery slope of gay marriage and how it ended up, how we slipped down into they're coming for your kids and the trans movement and everything and every other type of gender and ideology combined. So I wanted to do this last week. I found this article from the Federalist, but I found something else to go along with it that's just going to put the cherry on top of this issue. So, that being said, on this by Nathaniel Blake of the Federalist, and it's talking about 10 years since the Obergefell have proven its critics right. And Obergefell was the Supreme Court decision that basically legalized gay marriage nationwide. Opposing same-sex marriage is essential to defending the truth about human nature and how we flourish and are fulfilled. The alarmists were right. 10 years after the Obergefell decision enacting same-sex marriage nationwide, its opponents smeared then and now as cranks and bigots have been vindicated. Same-sex marriage was sold to the public through a campaign of lies, and the lies are hurting people. It is therefore no wonder that support for same-sex marriage seems to have peaked and may even be starting to decline, especially on the right. And I thought the issue was over. I thought this was a lost cause. I'm like, we lost, move on. But unfortunately, unfortunately, the left never knows how to take a win. It's never, okay, we can move on, we could all live happily ever. Nope. It's move the goalpost, move the goal line, move the goal line, move the goal line. We're not coming for your children. We don't want to. What do you think? We're going to try to convert your kids? We're going to show up at their schools and the library? Where are we 10 years later? Whatever they tell you they're not doing is exactly what they're doing. Of course, GOP leaders, whether from MAGA or the old establishment, have no stomach for the fight. They just want the issue to go away. They and the left thought that the opponents of same-sex marriage should surrender or slink off into the social shadows and fringes. But instead, the remaining opponents of same-sex marriage seem emboldened. The latest example comes from the Southern Baptist Convention, which overwhelmingly voted for a resolution calling for Obergefell to be overturned. It's not surprising that Southern Baptists are still against same-sex marriage, but engaging the issue shows that they do not consider it a lost cause, and they may well be right. During debates over same-sex marriage, Americans were endlessly told that there was no slippery slope. We were assured that this was about loving adults and that the gay rights movement was not going to infringe on anyone else's rights, let alone try to groom kids in any way. They lied. Clearly they lied, because they can't stop doing that. They can't stop. Just like I can't stop with these goddamn orange cream Coke Zeros, it's becoming a problem. Oh, they're so good. They're so good, though. They're so good. During debates over same-sex marriage, not only did they lie, they did not even bother to hide it. And that's part of the taunt. They taunt you with the degeneracy. They taunt you with their lies. They're lying. We know they're lying. They know we know they're lying, yet they lie anyway. We know they're lying, and then they still lie anyway. After Obergefell, the champions of same-sex marriage were convinced that they were riding an inexorable wave of rainbow-hued social progress, And so they enthusiastically launched their movement down an incline that was practically a cliff. The same people and organizations that told us that same-sex marriage was about letting adults live and let live championed transitioning children and demanding a drag queen in every child's library story hour in every man and a man in every girl's locker room. They declared that eunuch was a valid gender identity that ought to be medically affirmed. When you validate someone's mental illness, it's only going to lead you down to Gomorrah. It is not my job to validate your mental illnesses. The mantra that love is love disappeared into a sudden enthusiasm of polyamory. Love is love is love is love. They demanded a right to buy babies without so much as a background check. Why is it? Well, what type of babies are they buying? And I'm talking about usually the gay men. How come they never adopt baby girls? It's only little boys, these gay men. These gay married men only adopt little boys. Now, I'm sure there's an exception somewhere, but I would put it at about probably 98% of the gay male adoptions are adopting boys. I'm sure there's an outlier there, okay? But you don't govern to the outliers. And they insisted that all this be celebrated through a new lineup of holidays capped by the month-long national festivities of Pride. And those who objected had their reputations, careers, and even families threatened and attacked. These excesses and evils were intrinsic to the campaign for same-sex marriage, which is rooted in a revolt against human nature and a rejection of the normativity of male and female. It places subjective desire at the core human identity and disdains all restraint on that desire. This established a disconnect between human embodiment and human meaning and identity. Same-sex marriage presumed that men and women and mothers and fathers are interchangeable except insofar as they are objects of personal sexual desire. That's it. We're just sex toys. The rest of it is meaningless to them. This is why the supposed inclusion of same-sex marriage meant social revolution. It's not just that Obergefell was an activist decision utterly ungrounded in the Constitution, though a course of it was, but that same-sex marriage was intrinsically radical. If the differences between male and female don't matter in marriage, then they don't matter anywhere, which is why same-sex marriage immediately led to the promotion of gender ideology, especially for children, which is what it was intended to do the entire time. Thus, opposition to same-sex marriage is essential to defending the truth about human nature and how we flourish and are fulfilled. As Andrew Walker, a Baptist theologian and my colleague at the Ethics and Public Policy Center, explained to a reporter following the Southern Baptist vote. These are moral realities that cultures across history and across the globe have recognized, a moral order that is both broadly recognized and deeply rooted in natural law and human nature. The Christian moral witness aligns with these self-evident truths, to borrow the language of our own Declaration of Independence, not because Christianity is an arbitrary imposition, but because it faithfully testifies to the way the world actually is. This is the enduring beauty of Christian morality, and not a patriarchal morality, but a true morality. That's a very good point, and I never really looked at it that way. But it's why I gravitate, if anything, I gravitate towards Christianity, because at least it's based in some kind of reality and morality. Because if you're not living in reality, you're not living in morality either. To speak of imposing a Christian understanding of marriage and family is no more an imposition of sectarian dogma than it would be to say that gravity imposes itself upon us. Exactly. It just is. The truth about marriage as the union of one man and one woman is not an idiosyncratic religious observance or opinion, but is rooted in the immutable reality of who we are and how we are to live for our own good and the good of others. Of course, insinuating these truths will require more than rejecting same-sex marriage, which was always just a part of the sexual revolution and its evils. This revolution did not begin with same-sex couples. Marriage had been degraded and redefined a great deal before same-sex marriage even became thinkable. Nonetheless, the legal enactment of same-sex marriage further enshrined the lies of sexual liberalism with its hatred for human nature. And so abolishing same-sex marriage is essential. Genuine social justice must be rooted in truths of human nature, including that men and women are not interchangeable. And that's really the big folly of the social justice, the whole social justice movement is it's not rooted in the reality of human nature. It fights biology, i.e. it fights God. And to me, the best way of worshiping God, and there's no perfect way, is through Christianity. Not the Christian church, Christianity itself. I will say I am having a lot more hope for this American Pope. Seems like he might have been doing a little bit of bait and switch with the last one. Let the last one think he was some kind of wokey, and he's not. He doesn't appear to be. I like the guy. I do. So the point of all this is where I'm about to lead you to for the next article. I'm about to. This is where same-sex marriage has led us to. When they were saying it's not about this, there's no slippery slope. Well, if there's no slippery slope, explain this. And I, where did I have it? Oh, did I move it? Hold on. See, I'm a dummy. Oh, nope. I'm all zoomed in. My fault. Here we are. So it leads you to one of the people I follow on X, an account called Reddit Lies, and he monitors Reddit so I don't have to. And this is where I was talking the degeneracy of gay marriage has led to. Hold on to your hats, kids. Our Incest Isn't Wrong is a real subreddit now. Incest Isn't Wrong. Thoughts from a gay ally. I found this sub from one of the hateful call-out posts on All, but thought I'd check in to say I'm with you guys. Consenting love should not be stigmatized. Everyone should live the life that makes them the most happy. They're talking about incest here. Maybe it's a view I came to growing up gay in a time in society where it was quite stigmatized. I came across a lot of unfounded bigotry towards my own identity and developed a healthy skepticism towards sexual norms that way. There were a few things I read and experienced in the past that made me aware of incest happening in a way that was different from how it's usually presented. I remember a gay comic book author from my country recounting his experiences growing up in an autobiographical interview in a comic book format. He described how he at a young age discovered that he desired his father. Hold on to your hats, kids. It's only about love. It was only about love, guys. His dad never came on to him in an inappropriate manner, but he recounts being disappointed by that. One anecdote was that he went into his dad's bedroom when his dad was passed out drunk after a party and took his D in his mouth, and then going back to his bed, ashamed and confused, not understanding what drove him. In the comic, he was most upset that he didn't get him hard, which I guess might have been creative embellishment. Or it might have just been fucking degeneracy. What it is, degeneracy. Excusing, this is where the slippery slope has led us. That you are now excusing stories of going into your dad's room There's also a sort of normalized dad-son relationship in the gay scene that normalizes this dynamic, even if it's not explicitly incestuous. How is it not fucking blowing your dad? How is it not incestuous explicitly? I think it speaks for an implicit acceptance that such a desire is just a part of our sexual spectrum. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. This is where the slippery slope has led you into like, this is just normal. No. If you're thinking about blowing your dad, that's not normal, guys. That's not normal. You need to be locked away somewhere. If you're thinking about blowing any family member, having sex with any family member, you got a problem. A real one. On the hetero side, in my early 20s, I was active in a squat in town, organizing concerts and movie nights and stuff. I remember one older woman living there with her son in a larger flat share, so this must be England, who I was sort of friends with. A friend of mine lived with them and told me he was weirded out that she and her son were having an incestual relationship. Just weirded out. Now weirded out not to fucking leave. To say, hey, can you stop? They apparently weren't subtle. The walls were thin and he could hear them. I never brought it up with her because I thought it was none of my business, but I also thought it was totally fine as long as it wasn't hurting anyone. Great, you know, mom and your son and his mom are off banging, but that's cool. There ain't no slippery slope though, guys. The slippery slope doesn't exist. I didn't like the son because he was a cynical stoner type, but was fine with them being in a sexual relationship. So it was the weed you had the problem with, not him fucking eating his mom's ass. That's where the line is. He can bend his fucking mother over, but don't do a bong rip. Please have some decency. Have some decency. You know, there's a line. There's a line to your incest, I guess, and marijuana has to be it. I lost contact with them, but often wondered how they got on later. If they stayed together, why would you? All this just to say, I hope you find happiness with your partner, dad, mom, son, daughter, sibling, or whatever you're with. It is better than being alone. And that, boys and girls, is where the slippery slope slides you down to. Utter degeneracy. But don't worry, the slippery slope isn't real. The slippery slope isn't sliding you into degeneracy. It's just about love, guys. There is no slippery slope. So, thank you, Carl, for the contribution. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. Follow me on X and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. I'm going to go puke. Take care.